let's go from this to this. Hi there, my name's Carolyn Dunn and I'm a dot mandala artist, and I would love to welcome you to my channel. I'm excited about today's project. Look what I got at Dollarama. It's a clock. It was $5 and it's blank, so it's begging to be dotted. It's 11.8 inches in diameter and it has the clock hands, takes a battery. I'm excited to get working on this with you. What do you say? Okay, so we're working on this clock and I had an issue with how to get my circles on because obviously there's a hole in it. So Brian, brilliant Brian, just cut out a little piece of wood so that I could use that for that purpose. So let's just line this up. I think it's 11.75 inches. So we're just sort of a little bit of eyeballing here. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to put in my starter dots here. And I want to actually get a divot into that center point. And then we will take our ruler and connect these dots. Okay, and now we can take our 12 segment stencil, right? Because this is a clock. Looks pretty good. Now we can get those lines in. Again, right through that center dot. Oh, brilliant Brian, eh? Isn't he the clever one? What would I do without him? So now, to get our circles in, all right, so now we want to get our 0.5 centimeter segments in. Brilliant, thank you, Brian. There we go. So, no center dot for me. Woohoo! And here's our color palette for today. We've got Liquitex Basics Acrylic Fluid in Titanium White, CraftSmart Multi-Surface Premium Satin in Cobalt Blue, DecoArt Americana in Vivid Blue, Ocean Blue, Provence Sky, CraftSmart Acrylic Paint in Pale Blue, DecoArt Americanas in Sour Apple, Pistachio Mint, and Sunny Day. And we have mixed some of the colors to make different shades as well throughout the piece. And we're going to start with the Sour Apple Green. And we're going to use the 2mm tool to create some swooshes. And we'll just start here on this line and work our way towards the center. And we'll go on every line. Okay, we're going in with the Sunny Day paint, and I think we will just dot down like so. I'm going to use the small end of the pink tool, and you could use the small end of the 0.5mm tool. So it's working out to about 7 dots down in between, and if you wipe the tool off in between, it'll help with maintaining consistent size dots. Here we are all the way around. We're going to go in with a round of white dots, and we're going to use the 1mm tool. We're going to go in with the Sunny Day paint and the 5mm tool, and we're going to create dots This is our 12 o'clock, and I want to be on either side of that right now. So let's get some sunny day paint and get to painting. So why did I choose the 5mm tool? I'm going to go in on every other line, and I want to be able to get a couple of rows of dots, maybe even 3, we'll see, to run as petals on either side. So hopefully the 5mm will do that for us. We're going to create dots around that in the same color, and we'll start with the 0.5mm tool. We'll create a dot above it, so it'll just come up to that line there. Then I'm going to move to the small end to walk those dots down. Round 1, and we're going to go in another round with the same color. Our last row of dots is in white. Use the small end to go down. And just in between there, we're going to go in with some sour apple in between those little flowers. We're going in with the Provence Sky, and we're going in with the 6mm tool, and we're going to go in between these. We leave enough room that we can get a little green flower stem down there. Let's go right about here. Alright, while we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to go back in with the sour apple. And we're going to place one solitary dot right beneath. And then you're going to run down a swoosh from there. Just a tiny little guy. Okay, let's see if we can't get some of those light blue dots in. And we're just using the 0.5mm tool right now. And I'm using the CraftSmart Pale Blue Acrylic Paint right now. I've mixed it with some gloss medium, which helps with the consistency with this brand of paint. And we'll be using the small end of the tool to walk those dots down. We're going to create some half swooshes here using the cobalt blue paint and the 0.5mm tool to start, and we'll finish that swoosh off with the small end of the tool just so we can tuck it right in there. Now we'll create some uppermost dots in titanium white using the 2.5mm tool, and we'll do this all the way around. And we'll use the small end of the tool to drag a swoosh down towards the blue. Okay, my numbers finally came. So I'm just laying them out now, how I want to position them. and to identify how much room I want on either side. So these numbers are 2 centimeters. What I'm thinking is this is the position I think I'm going to go with, and I've got 2.5 centimeters on the outside rim that I can play with, and then we've got a row here for flowers. Center to the numbers is about 10.5 centimeters, okay, to the inside of the numbers. All right, it's time for some dot dots. We're using the cobalt blue paint, and we'll use the 4.5 millimeter tool to place these top dots on our flowers. As you can see, I've traced the numbers in here, so I just have an idea of where I can place things that won't encroach on those numbers when I actually do place them, which will be after varnishing. Now let's go in with the Sunny Day paint and create a dot using the 3 millimeter tool above that white dot, all the way around. And now using the same tool, we'll place a sour apple dot in between the yellow ones. Using the 1 millimeter tool, we're going to create a swoosh that runs down below that green dot. Let's bring in the ocean blue, and we use the 7.5 millimeter tool to create flower bases just above that green dot, all the way around. Now let's use the 0.5 millimeter tool with the pale blue paint to create our uppermost dots for these flowers. And we'll walk them down with the small end of the tool. Using the 1 millimeter tool, let's create our uppermost dots in the Provence sky. And then we'll walk them down with the same tool. For our next row of petals, we're going to mix the vivid blue with ocean blue to get a color, a shade that's sort of halfway in between those two. And we'll use the 2.5 millimeter tool for these uppermost dots. And let's walk those dots down with the 2 millimeter tool. Now I'm just seeing if I can squeeze the number 10 over a little bit so I can get a round of dots around that center part. I'm adding some sour apple to the Pistachio Mint so we can create our next swooshes below our latest flowers. And we're using the small end of the yellow tool here, so just a fairly fine tip tool to get those swooshes in there. Okay, it's been busy around here, so I haven't been able to get to my dotting, but we're back. And we're going to place a row of yellow dots around here, and I think we'll use a 3.5 millimeter tool, and of course we've got the Sunny Day paint. So that stuff's dry for sure. And this is the one spot where I was a bit tight, but I'm going to try and bring these numbers over. We should be able to get that in quite nicely. So we're going in with sour apple and the 2mm tool, and we're going to create some swooshes. There we go. First round of swooshes in, and we'll go in and we'll do a mix of the pistachio mint and the sour apple for our next swoosh, just like we did below. Okay, we'll come one line down to start that swoosh, right about there. Now we're going in with the 1mm tool and the cobalt blue paint to drag a swoosh at the bottom of those flowers towards the center. And then we're going to come back the other way. Okay, we're going to do another round of dots. And we are going in here with the 4mm tool. Okay, I'm going to do some alternating swooshes along the edges here. And I'm going to be using the Provence Sky, darkened a little bit with Vivid Blue, for our first swooshes. And as always, to be beginner friendly, I've divided up the segments in 0.5 centimeter increments around the rim there. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. It's almost like an ocean blue, really, that I wanted to get to. So, taking the 0.5mm tool, and we'll start making our swooshes. Okay, now we're going in with the Provence Sky to do our alternating swooshes, and we'll be using the 0.5mm tool. If you find a space that's too small, just switch to the small end of the tool. Just tidying up the tops of some of these swooshes. Now let's go in with a tiny tip tool and the titanium white paint, and we'll create some tiny white dots on either side of these green circles. Now I've just sketched in where I want to put some swooshes in between the numbers. Our first swoosh will be in Vivid Blue, and I wanted to point out that I've put in some tiny little pistachio mint triangles in the dividing line where each of the numbers will sit. And this is twofold. It's going to help me to determine where to put the numbers when I have no guidelines to show me afterwards. And because I like them as a design element. And we're using the 2.5mm tool to create these swooshes. Now we're going in with Ocean Blue. We're going down about a line, and we're going to create a dot on either side of the Vivid Blue swoosh with the 2.5mm tool, and then we're going to use a fine tip tool to drag those down. Partway through, I decided that using the large end or small end of the blue tool was going to work just as nicely for me as using the fine tip tool. This next swoosh is a mix of the Provence Sky and Ocean Blue, just to give us that next lightened shade in the gradient. And still using the 2.5mm tool to create the first dots just a little bit lower than the previous ones, and then we'll drag it down with the small end. While we let those swooshes dry, we'll go in with the Provence Sky and create some top dots using the 5mm tool. Using a very fine tip tool and the titanium white paint, we're going to create white dots on either side of those yellow dots, just like we did with the green ones. Let's get back to our swooshes. We're going in with the 2.5mm tool and the Provence Sky paint to create our next series of swooshes. Our next swooshes are in pale blue. And you'll notice that I've kept that number 10 there because that's really my tightest space, and I just want to make sure I don't encroach on that number 10. Okay, my friends, for our last swoosh, we're going to add some pale blue to some titanium white to give us another lightened shade. Okay, let's remove those guidelines. I will go in and dot again over the inner larger yellow dots with Sunny Day Yellow mixed with gloss medium. Really made quite a difference to the look of it. And then we're just going to wait for this to dry so we can go in and varnish it and then add our clock numbers and clock mechanism. Can't wait! So we're just removing all the guidelines now. We had a bit of a concern about how we would know where to put the numbers, but I've placed in these tiny little triangles to help with that, and they will actually create our lines if we need them. And I've taken photographs with the numbers placed on there, so it should be good. Be a beautiful kitchen clock, wouldn't it? A little bit of rescue black will be needed here and there for touch-ups. So I added some top dots here in the cobalt blue using the 3mm tool, and I'm just adding some top dots now on those inner ones in the pale blue using the 2.5mm tool. And now we're done. Just let that dry and then we'll be able to varnish it and then finally put our numbers on. First round of varnish, we're using the Liquitex High Gloss Varnish. I'm using a high density foam brush to apply this, and I don't skimp on it, and I like to get it around to the edges first and then get the center. Okay, our clock is done. It has 3 coats of varnish on it, and now I'm ready to place the numbers. I've set them here, and now I'm just going to use Gorilla Super Glue to attach them, and we'll start with the number 6. So I just want to get a little bit of glue on the back of this, and then I just want to sort of place it in line there. And that's going to stick really well. And I'll do the same with all the rest. Now the number 1. Okay, straight up and down. No.
And the hands just push on.
Oh, okay. Woohoo! It works! Yay! Hickory dickory dock, tick tock, the clock is working. We are finished. Isn't it beautiful? Thank you so much for joining me on this clock journey. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, or share. I'd really appreciate it. And please remember, always keep on dotting. Until next time, take care for now.